Okay, it's Friday. This is going to be a reminder, one of those videos you watch, and it's going to remind you of something that you know, or hopefully you know. If you don't know this, this is actually going to really help you along. I want to read to you from Romans chapter 8. And Romans chapter 8 is a magnificent passage of scripture. But listen to this. Starting in verse 31, it says this: "What then shall we say to these things? If God is for us, who can be against us? He who did not spare his own son, but delivered him up for us all, how shall he not with him also freely give us all things?" Listen to that. If God is for us, who can be against us? Listen, this is a reminder, right? Remember this. Okay, God is for us. When we live by faith, in this passage, he's talking about believers, right? God is for us. Whatever you're facing, everybody hearing my voice, watching this video, each one of you is facing something unique. It's challenging, but you have to keep in mind God is for you, right? If he didn't spare his own son, do you think he won't help you through your trouble? I mean, it's like logic. This is spiritual logic, okay? Don't be distracted by how big the problem is, because, you know, I'm going to quote somebody I used to work with, and he said this thing, and it cracked me up so much. We were visiting another location, and they were going through all sorts of troubles with some equipment. And this guy who was a maintenance mechanic, he looked at the plant manager and he said, "Hey, listen, it's not the end of the universe." Okay? And you should have seen the look of defeat on the plant manager's face, because that's not what he wanted to hear. But it was true. We tend to absolutely blow up the things that we're facing. We tend to let them get huge in our mind. We look at them as like a daunting obstacle when we are not factoring in the ability of God, the power and the might of God to intervene into our situation, to really direct us through that and make it a beautiful thing. Now, listen, I think one of the big problems that people run into is, it's like, Dale, I do, you know, I've had people say this: I believe that God could, it's if he would. But listen, man, you need to understand this. This is actually clearing that up. He's saying, look, if God is for us, who can be against us? He's not actually asking this question. It's rhetorical. He's not saying, is God for us? He's saying, if God is for us, who can be against us? It's a rhetorical question with a rhetorical answer. If God is for us, which he is, who can be against us? No one. Okay? Even though we will be opposed by all kinds of people, they will never prevail or succeed in their offense against us, in their attack or whatever it is, because God is for us. You know, it's interesting. This passage comes, and it's right after probably one of the most quoted verses in the Bible, which is Romans 8:28. We know all things work together for the good of those who love God, to those who are called according to his purpose. And he says this, right? If God is for us, who can be against us? You know? And then he makes the point. He's not just talking, you know, philosophically. He's saying, he who did not spare his own son, but delivered him up for us, how shall he not with him also freely give us all things? Does that mean God is going to do whatever we want for us in this life? No, because that wouldn't be good for us, right? There's no way. Honestly, if God just gave Christians whatever they wanted, I hate to say it, but it would probably result in the end of the world. I'm just saying. God doesn't just give us whatever we want. That's not at all what this is saying. But what it's saying is, look, if the Father didn't even withhold his own Son, don't you think that he is going to freely bless you and give you what you need to get through the situation you're in right now? I mean, think about that. We're talking about Jesus. We're talking about the Father and the Son, the one that God literally spoke an audible voice so that people would hear it and said, "This is my beloved Son." God made it a point to communicate that when he didn't need to, but he made it a point to communicate that to the human world so that we would understand his love for a Son. And it's saying here, understand it. If God didn't spare him because he wanted us so badly to have a path for redemption and salvation, if God didn't spare his own Son, don't you think that God is extremely willing to intervene into your life and to help you out? Okay, I'm saying all of this as a person that has definitely learned this lesson over and over and over. And the reason I can say that I've learned it over and over and over is because I've also forgotten it over and over and over. In other words, got into the situation, started to panic, started to worry, get gripped with fear or whatever, and had to be reminded by God, hey, what are you doing? Okay? So, listen, I'm just encouraging you today. I'm reminding you, these verses are here. I would recommend that if you have not memorized these verses, these are the sorts of things that you really need written on the back of your eyelids, so you always see them, right? I'm speaking figuratively, of course, but memorize these verses, right? They are powerful because they're so true, and it's such a good reminder about the goodness of God and about his grace in your life. So may the Lord richly bless you. Thank you so much for watching this. Please leave me a comment. Also, take a minute and like this and consider sharing this with somebody that you know. God bless you.